Gather round, kids, and let me tell you the story about the day I realized I was an adult. I was in my mid-20s and I was unemployed. I had a really great job right out of college, but the economy hit a downturn and I lost that job, so now I needed something else. So, I did what I had to do and I took a retail job. And just a little bit of context here, when I was in college I had to work my way through school, so I had to work, really terrible retail jobs and restaurant jobs and stuff. So when I graduated and I got an actual, professional job at an ad agency, I had one of those, Scarlett O'Hara moments where I was like, I will never work retail again. And then I had to work retail again. Of all the retail jobs I've had, though, this was easily one of the best. I worked at REI, the outdoor equipment co-op, and there were a lot of really cool things there to sell and to play with and stuff, and the people that worked there were all really cool. And some of the people that worked there were really young, like high schoolers. So one day I'm sitting there in the break room, and one of these youngins is sitting there talking about her plans after she graduated, and she was going to go to XYZ college and graduate in 4 years and then get her master's degree and then get a C-level position at blah, blah, blah corp, she had the whole thing planned out. And I was sitting there, I probably should have been minding my own business, but I was thinking about all the plans that I had made and how everything got blown all to hell, and I'm listening to what she's saying, and I couldn't help but just kind of laugh. And she asked why I was laughing, and I was like, it's just all so simple when you're 18. And that's when I knew it. I was officially crushing the dreams of the young. I was an adult. But your perspective does change as you get older, as you pile on some years, have some experiences. You look back on when you were a teenager and all these things that were just so important back then, now it's just couldn't possibly matter less. And some of that is just lack of experience. When you're only 18 years old, every single moment is big and meaningful and precious. But once you've had 40 years of experience, most things, it turns out, are just another experience. Now that's just part of life, but a lot about the emotional state of teenagers is physiological. Your post-puberty years are just a series of physiological changes that some of which do affect your mental state. Not only is your body growing one of the fastest rates it will ever grow in your life, you've got an entirely new system of your body kicking into gear, the reproductive system. And this floods your body with hormones and is trying to find the right balance, and all of this takes up massive amounts of energy. An energy deficit that skews teenagers towards both longer and later sleep cycles. And yet, despite study after study after study suggesting against this, schools in this country are starting earlier and earlier, as early as 7 in the morning. Now, I have a personal connection to this topic because my wife is actually a high school teacher, and their school starts at like 7:15 in the morning. So for her to be able to get up, get showered, get dressed, drive to the school early enough so that she can actually tutor kids before class starts, she has to get up at like 5 in the morning. Which means she's pretty much in bed by 8:30 or 9 o'clock every night. Even on the weekends when she could stay up later, she still can't stay up much later than that because her body's still kind of in that rhythm. This really cuts down on the number of all-night raves. And yeah, that sucks for us, but it really sucks for the kids. Because you're at a time in your life when your achievements and your test scores are what's going to kind of set the direction for the rest of your life. And this coincides with a time in your life when you need the most sleep. According to the Sleep Foundation, melatonin levels actually rise much later for teenagers than most people. That means you get sleepy much later. In fact, most teenagers experience heightened levels of alertness in the early evening around 8 or 9 o'clock. And you're being made to do these things at a time that's earlier than you would ever have to do in a professional setting. Most professional jobs start no earlier than 9 o'clock. And before you guys jump into the comments, yes, I know many jobs start earlier than that, but the whole 9 to 5 thing is kind of an average. That's why it's become a thing. But 43% of public schools start before 8 o'clock in the morning. 10% start before 7:30, even though the American Society of Pediatrics recommended that schools start no earlier than 8:30. Only 1 in 5 schools actually start after 8:30 in the United States. And this isn't something that hasn't been studied. This has been studied quite a bit. And these studies have shown that earlier start times can lead to things like more obesity, less interest in physical activity, more drinking and drug use, lower test scores, more depression, more anxiety, and more kids die on the roads to school because of pre-dawn darkness and tired driving. Not to mention weakened immune systems, which is great because all these people are piled into one building like a giant petri dish. But maybe the worst part of all this is that this extended sleep deprivation can actually cause problems in the brain that can affect a person for the rest of their lives, because this is the period in a person's life when their brain is forming and gelling, and some of those sleep deprivation effects can get locked in there. So when people hear the whole, we need to push school times back, they automatically say, oh, kids need to toughen up, or, kids are lazy and entitled and all that. It's really not about that. It's actually a real problem. And it's actually a problem that can negatively affect the economy over time. Think tanks like the Rand Corporation And the Brookings Institute actually said that people's wages could increase by $17,500 across their lifetime if the school started just a little bit later. And while $17,500 is not that much across one person's lifetime, that spread across hundreds of millions of kids over time can really affect the economy. Pushing school start times later is endorsed almost universally across the board by people who study sleep, from the Centers of Disease Control, to the American Society of Pediatrics, to the American Sleep Foundation, to the American Academy of Sleep Medicine. There's so many I had to look. And yet 4 out of 5 schools start earlier than these foundations recommend. Why? Why are they so hesitant to change this? I mean, if anything, schools who obsess over standardized test scores would want to do anything they could to raise their test scores, right? Well, there's a few explanations that get thrown out, but of course it usually goes back to money. School districts only have so many buses, so they have to shift when they go and pick up kids between grade school, middle school, and high school, and they usually go pick up the younger kids later. This is actually the reason most schools starting earlier back in the 80s. Some school districts also complain that if they started later, then after-school activities like football and band would require more lighting, which would cost more money as well. So, yeah. It's mostly about money. But actually parents have been hesitant to make this switch as well, and what's interesting about this is that they are hesitant not just to go later, but also to go earlier, so it's really just more of general inertia against change. And the last one that needs to be mentioned, and it is the least, is the people who say that kids need to get on a professional schedule early on. And like I said before, 7 in the morning is not a professional schedule for most people, and besides, kids are not professionals. They're kids. They actually physiologically can't go to sleep as early as adults can. They just can't. This also affects lower income kids disproportionately to more middle and higher income kids, because lower income kids often have to work after school. There are some organizations working hard to change this. One of them is startschoollater.net. There's a whole lot of information on their site about why this is such a bad idea and some things that you can do about it in your local communities. This video isn't sponsored by them or anything. I just want my wife to be able to stay up past 9 o'clock. Bottom line, the worst reason to do anything is because it's always been done that way. Especially when there's ample evidence that that way of doing things is bad. I got my eye on you, daylight savings time. And I think it's way past time to get rid of the penny. Yeah, I said it. It's really easy to take this topic and say that kids just need to toughen up or just blame them for being lazy and entitled. That's the easy thing to do. People have been doing that since ancient Greece. And then the great big picture of all the things that are wrong with the United States healthcare system, this might not be the most important thing, but it matters, and it could make a difference. So maybe the most adult thing we can do is to stop crushing the dreams of the young and start supporting them. T-shirts available at the store, answerswithjoe.com/shirts. Fun, nerdy, you like, design, buy. Words. I promote good. So something I haven't talked about on this channel in a long time is a little product that I created called Cankerboy. It's actually for people who get recurrent canker sores in their mouth, not the herpes, but the they call it RAS, recurrent aphthostomatitis. And this actually affects teenagers in higher numbers than other people because of the hormonal cycles and stuff that I was talking about earlier. But it's a little pill that you take daily. You can go to cankerboy.com and find out more information about it. But it's based on double-blind studies from universities that show that this helps regulate a certain type of cytokine in your immune system that can cause these canker sores to break out. About 75% of people it helps out. If you want to give it a try, you can sign up for the subscription and actually get the first one with a risk-free trial. If it doesn't work for you, you get your money back. So cankerboy.com, go check it out. If canker sores are a problem for you. If they're not, congrats. All right, thanks again for watching. Please like and share this video if you liked it, and if this is your first time here, check out some of my other videos. You might like those too, and if you do, please do hit subscribe, because then you'll be the first to see my videos every Monday and Thursday. With that, I'm going to bid you adieu. You guys go out there and have an eye-opening rest of the week, and I'll see you on Monday. Love you guys. Take care.